Hey guys, in this video I'll be talking about setting up your own Google Chrome extensions. We'll be following the official tutorial from chrome.com. Just Google search Chrome extension getting started. Now it does require a little bit of JavaScript and HTML, but even if you're a beginner, just go ahead and follow through. There's a lot you can still learn, and it's really easy to tweak the example. Alright, so we click the first link. Getting started building a Chrome extension. So this is what we're going to be doing today. It's going to add a little icon in the corner of Chrome. You click it and it gives you pictures of kittens. It's called One-Click Kittens. Oh, Google. So it's actually composed of 4 files.
Manifest.json.
And I know that kind of sounds scary, but it's just a text file. You don't have to know the quirky syntax, you don't have to understand it, you just have to know where to modify. For example, this is the name of the application. If you make your own, you should probably change it here. The name, description, the version number, that's pretty typical. And the permissions, for example, this one queries flickr.com for pictures of kittens. And it also has information about resources, for example, icon.png and popup.html. If we scroll back, this is actually composed of 4 elements. This is the icon, icon.png. This is popup.html. The manifest file contains information about some of the resources, including the name and description, and information about the application itself. And finally, the popup.js. That's actually the controller. That's the code. It actually queries flickr.com for the data itself. So those are the 4 parts, and we can quickly download them. Let's scroll down, and under the manifest stuff we have download a copy of manifest.json. Go ahead and do that. We scroll down to resources a bit more, and it's going to say download a copy of icon.png, popup.html, and finally popup.js. Download all 4 parts. Go ahead and click keep at the bottom. And then we can go to show in folder. Show in folder. And you're probably going to have a lot of stuff in your downloads directory. So what I recommend you do is go to view and then details and then order by date. That'll give you the latest 4 files. So these are the only thing we need. And in a second, we'll be able to load them into Chrome and make modifications. But first, let's put it in its own directory. So we right click. We'll click new and folder. You can also go to open or organize or something like that. It probably has a new option in there. I don't remember. Alright. And we're going to call this my first extension. Good. We're going to copy these files. We're going to put it into my first extension folder. And then we'll go back to Chrome. Now we go to the little icon here, the tools icon. We go to tools. We go to extensions. And then we click load unpacked extension. And then go ahead and navigate to your user folder. That's this little icon here. It usually has your personal name, but I was lazy. I just called my computer X. So we click X, and then I go to downloads, and I click my first extension. And it'll load the One-Click Kittens. And if you'll notice, it already loaded the icon here. So I click it, and I get kittens. Awesome. Alright, let's get into the guts. Let's gut these kittens. Let's look at the source code. Alright, we click my first extension. I'm going to open popup.js. That's the meat of the program. And here we go. The first thing is query. We're going to query for kittens, but if we change it to puppies, what happens? Change it to puppies, save, switch back to Chrome, and we're going to click it again. Alright, we got pictures of puppies. So we're already able to modify and quickly reload the extensions. That's awesome. We can also modify popup.html, which is this pop-up window thing. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I'm using Emacs. And I don't recommend you use Emacs at all, unless you're really into programming. Emacs and Vim take a really long time to learn. Well, not that much, but they're quite an investment. So It's better if you use Notepad++ on Windows or Text Wrangler on Mac. You can also use TextPad, JEdit. There's so many programming editors, so just go ahead and search Google Programming Editor. Find which one's right for you. In the meantime, I'll open an Emacs. And here's the pop-up. And don't be afraid to modify things. Modify everything. Modify anything you can. For example, inside body, we'll add junk. We'll save it, and let's see the results. It's alright. This is your file. Don't be afraid. And it added that junk inside. So this is the pop-up. This controls everything. For example, all the images that show up inside this pop-up are 75 width and 75 height in pixels. So if we modify this, it'll modify the images inside the pop-up. This is actually CSS. It's in the style tag. I save it, I reload here, and now they're huge. They're a lot bigger now. I can also modify the width. For example, I can set it to 600 and save. Go back, reload. Alright, now we got much bigger images. That actually looks worse to me, so I'm not gonna modify it, but you get the general idea. You can play around and modify anything within popup.html. Save, reload, and we're back to normal. Alright, let's get some more modifications in. Go back to our editor. We're gonna scroll down a bit and we can turn off safe search. I don't think I can do that for this video. And we can change the purge page items, save it. It's gonna sort it by interesting ness, descending. I can set it to ascending. I don't know how the Flickr API works. You're gonna have to look up those options if you wanted to. And we'll go check, see the results. It's gonna give us 5 puppies. Alright, and this puppy looks to be passed out with a bottle of alcohol next to it. Nice. Alright, we scroll down, and the way this page works, if I go to the bottom, this is going to say once the page is done loading, it's gonna make a function call to request kittens, and that function call is wrapped in an object called kitten generator. Now this is actually really kind of more complex code. Like, they do direct DOM manipulation in this file. They do that because in general it's easier to do a tutorial when you don't have any dependencies, but if you really want to, you can include jQuery, you can include any framework you want to work with your extension. This might be a lot more tricky, but basically it says that once the page is loading, call a function. And again, a function is just do something. Once the page is loaded, do something. And that do something is request some kittens. And we're gonna go up. Let's see what request kittens does. This is actually an AJAX call that says make a GET request to Flickr, and it defines this search Flickr thing to be a string above. That's what this thing is. And it's gonna turn the query, this URI component query thing, this is where it's gonna say puppies or kittens or whatever. And it's gonna make that HTTP request. It's gonna give back results, and it's gonna call the function show photos. We're gonna scroll down to show photos. This is gonna be an event it returns, and it's gonna have XML data inside it. And then it's gonna use the query selector API to select all elements that are called photo. And then for each element photo, it's gonna loop through the elements and add an image, and that's where these images come from. So every single image here is generated by this loop here. Now that's really complicated, but again, you can use jQuery or pretty much anything, or you can directly do this DOM manipulation. I mean, this is the fastest you can possibly get. But for general extensions, you're usually not going to have this level of complexity. For example, you can create an application or an extension that just refreshes the page. That's really, really easy to do. It's quite a bit less code. It's not as cute as Kittens, but it's a very simple application you could do to get started. You can do like to-do list or that type of thing using the HTML5 API to save data. You could do your own custom pages. For example, if you visit a site really, really often, your favorite site, you could do things like modify the layout of that site. You could alter the content structure. You could add content. You could query other sites and get data from those sites and add it to your favorite site that's related. For example, if you like to browse movies or something and you go to a movie site, maybe it'll query IMDb and get the rating, or Rotten Tomatoes and get a rating from them while you're looking at this other site. So that's basically how it works. And if you really want to, we could modify this. It's just really not so much fun to do it with this type of code. For example, it's generating an image and then it's constructing a URL, and inside that image it just created, it's gonna set the source to that URL and then set an attribute with the title of the image. So actually, if we hover over any of the images inside Chrome, it'll give us a short description. It didn't. That's strange. But if I click inspect element, you'll see that it's probably there. Alt, Ruby is a puppy. I see. Oh, it's because it's not a title attribute. That's why. Okay, so what we can do is we can make a copy of this, and we're gonna actually generate a new link. So we're gonna generate a new anchor tag. It's actually much easier to use inner HTML, but I'm just following the conventions based on this extension. And again, this is getting a bit too deep into it. I'll try to make a new extension video that shows you how easy it can be to make a very simple extension. This is a bit more advanced, and it probably shouldn't be for the main tutorial they give. Alright, and now that we have a link, we can say link dot append child, and I'll append the image to that link. I also have to set attribute. For example, link set attribute. Attribute, you guys say I pronounced it wrong. I'm afraid to say it now. Ref. And we're gonna get the URL. So what we're doing is we're gonna make a link to each image, and we're gonna make it a big size. So if I go down here, you'll notice it says _s. And what that does is actually makes the image a thumbnail. If I take off all this part, and then we'll just get the base image. There we go. I'll go back up. And now I have to add right here .jpg, because I took that out. And for the image itself that it shows, I still want the thumbnail. But for the actual image, I'm gonna want it without that _s, so it displays in full resolution. .jpg. Alright. And the last thing I want to add is a target. We click a link, and I think it should just open it on its own blank page. That would be much preferable. Alright, I'm going to change this image to link, because I already added image to link. So we don't want to add them separately. I already put image inside of link. I'm going to save. I'm going to open Chrome and check the results. Alright, and now we have a link directly to the high-res image. Awesome.